You're watching Telecom TV from Mobile World Congress 2016 from Barcelona. Now, as the NFV market matures, the question really is, how does network virtualization impact the OSS and BSS space? And to help me address this issue, I'm joined by three colleagues. On my immediate right is Rolf Eberhardt, and Rolf is lead service orchestration at Communications and Media Solutions, Hewlett Packard Enterprise. Next to Rolf, we have Jeff Edlund, who is Chief Technologist, CMS, Hewlett Packard Enterprise. And next to Jeff, we have Ken Marchant, who is Director of Actionable Customer Intelligence, CMS, Hewlett Packard Enterprise. Ken, Jeff, Rolf, thank you very much. Jeff, could I start with you? How does this space need to evolve in order to keep changes with developments on the network side?
Well, so the carriers for the last 2 years have really been exploring network functions virtualization. And they've created a domain that they thought was going to give them a high degree of agility and the ability to introduce new services much more rapidly. I think the unanticipated thing that's occurred, though, is that this virtualization domain within the network didn't necessarily interplay well with their existing legacy or physical infrastructure. And with this goal in mind of the carrier wanting to automate their operations, to become far more agile, and to have the ability to innovate a lot of new services that are operating on their network, it's really going to be incumbent on us now to help the carrier understand how they bring the virtualization domain together with the legacy physical domain and automate service operations across both of those spaces.
So, as we evolve to a more automated operations model, OSS and BSS, as you say, needs to be modernized, but how can we do this with improved analytics?
Well, I think that analytics coming out of the virtualization domain as well as the legacy physical domain, if we can draw all of that data together into a centralized and a common source of the truth for what's going on within the carrier environment, we can start to use that information in order to be able to deliver services more timely for the customer, deliver them services that are frankly more personalized to what they're looking for, and then finally do it more efficiently and hopefully do it in such a way that the carrier can start to eliminate the over-the-top threat and again become a more valued partner with the customer that they already have.
Great, and Rolf, if I can move to you, how does Hewlett Packard Enterprise approach the issue of OSS automation?
If you look at OSS as it is today, we've had Ferrari introduced under carriage, and in this carriage we have still got the leashes at the top. So we're sort of in a disconnect between the 19th, 20th century and the 21st century. We have a one leash which is fulfillment and one leash which is assurance. They're not really working very well together, and so you're driving at 250 miles an hour with a horse carriage management system. What we need to get to do is we need to bring these two leashes together up to the same speed and agility which we're having on the engine underneath, and we need to lock them together to one steering wheel so that when you drive around the curve, it's not just the horse on the left-hand side going around the curve and the other horse going straight along. We're bringing them together and then bringing the speed of innovation, which we now have down in the network, up to business operations. And that's what OSS automation is all about.
So, Ken, how can we really use analytics to help improve operations?
Well, I think as Jeff implied, there's internal and external applications for analytics. To pick up on the analogy that Rolf was using to the Ferrari component, just as you can't have a Formula One winning race car team today without a tremendous amount of analytics about the continuous real-time performance of the automobile, you cannot have an effective NFV OSS that's giving you the benefits you're looking for in terms of cost reductions for OPEX cost reductions for CapEx and improved agility of services if you don't understand what's going on in that now somewhat more complicated layered environment. You need to understand the interplay between the resource management across NFV on an internal perspective to get that OSS benefits you want. In other words, to give the feedback that Rolf was talking about, to be able to control the car. You need a lot more information about that. But externally as well, you also need to be able to understand what's happening in your customer base, how you're using that agility to drive new services. To extend that Formula One innovation again, or metaphor again, you have to be able to look at who's ahead of you on the track, who's catching up to you, where are you going? And of course, the market of today for telecommunications and other service providers is far more complicated than a Formula One track. So you need that continuous enrichment of how the new services you're providing are impacting the customer experience, the lives of the people who are using the systems. The only thing now that's not virtual, that subscriber becomes everything. And so I see that while NFV is intensely network focused, it really is the lever that will allow service providers to become truly subscriber centric in the future.
Jeff, where's this all heading at a macro level?
So I think at a very high level, what is happening and what we're going to see occur is a transformation of what we think of today as a communications service provider into what I would call a digital service provider. So they're going to move from this environment of just connecting people to communicate via voice or text to a world where, like Ken was talking about, services are personalized, they orbit around the individual, and it will be the interplay of all of the digital services that will define the value that the future CSP will be able to bring.
So, Rolf, can I ask you then, what does it mean to be one of these digital service providers from an OSS perspective?
Product managers used to take about 1 to 2 years until they got an idea into a product. Now we do it in 1 month. And what will happen next is that in a digital service provider environment, we will be combining services, which we know as telco services, with any kind of other services, and we'll have to be able to do it at the same speed, because customers, they will be asking for things which we cannot anticipate, and the product manager of the future needs to be able to pick and choose, bring together, and bring this dynamicity into that marketplace. And that we'll be able to do with OSS.
And Ken, last word to you.
It's all about that customer experience, becoming subscriber centric. The digital service provider of the future is completely subscriber centric. Determine what the customer wants, then let the networks build themselves with NFV.
Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.